Hey folks, Dan here. We're in the high country this weekend. I'm traveling with my friend Paul in his beautiful FJ Cruiser. We came in through Licola yesterday. Went up to Kelly's Hut, Scrubby Hill Track, and then we came down Dingo Hill Track, which is a steep one with heaps of switchbacks. We came into the valley down here and found a beautiful, beautiful spot by the river, and we camped here the night. Someone was even kind enough to leave us about a year's supply of firewood. Well, a year's supply if you've got one of the fire pits I like anyway. We're going to do some more driving today, head north, either Caledonia River Track or Butcher River Track, and we're going to get into Wonnangatta Station to camp tonight. Licola is a common entry spot to the Alpine region because of its close proximity to Melbourne. It's one of Australia's only privately owned towns, and in the 2016 census boasted a modest population of 11. I feel relaxed already. Look at that running water. Just a quick stop to air down and we were on our way. The live stuff's not too bad. Like anything that's green, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll roll the dice on that. But it's when it's like twigs that are dead. Those are just like the pinstripers.
Well, depending how old it was. Some of it was English.
We began the sharp descents down to the riverbeds on Dingo Hill Track. Here's a little teaser of what we've got coming up in the next few days. It was at these spectacular river fords that we found our cracking camp spot.
There's a blank one there, logical front locker there. And this crawl control thing, which I don't use because it's weird. It works, but I'd rather do it manually.
Yep.
So you're crawling down and it's firing. Does yours make a lot of noise when the traction control or the ABS kicks in?
Not really.
No. This is noisy as like a machine gun going. But it's
This is a good dash for storing crap on.
yeah.
My dash is about half the depth.
It's flat and it's got a little.
Yeah, it's good when you pull up and you can just put stuff there while you're sorting stuff out. See to the right of Paul's vehicle there's a rocky slope. It's not meant to be a track. It's what I like to call a bogan line. Not an A line, not a B line, a bogan line. It has multiple 1 metre vertical rock faces. It connects the camp with the main track, but it's entirely unnecessary for anyone to try and drive. And the folks that enjoy these bogan lines often don't use tree trunk protectors when they winch, and this is the damage it does. And it gives all four-wheel drivers a bad reputation.
Cool.
I got my hands on another fire pit to try. This is the Drifta Stockton folding fire pit, and I'm seeing how it compares to the others I've used. So far, I think it's excellent.
And hopefully there's some reasonably dry stuff here. Start with.
The other bit of gear I've been trying out is the Drifta Stockton half Hexa tarp. Lots of uses, very versatile, easy to set up. I'm wondering whether this could entirely replace the vehicle awning on the roof rack.
Chili sauce as well.
Yeah. Can't have too much chilli.
Yes, you can.
You can, because you're going to run out.
Here, Hyman Force, Conglomerate Force.
Yep.
Not far away.
Heading north, we had a choice. Butcher River left, Caledonia River right. I plan to do more videos like this, sharing my outdoor adventures, but I gotta say, I'm at the start of a very big learning curve. What do you reckon about these kinds of videos? Let me know. I promise the quality will get better with each one. I want to shout out a friend of the channel here, Dave, who gifted me a GoPro so I can have more angles for the story. Thanks heaps, Dave. Back to higher ground now, toward Bryce Gorge car park along Howitt Road. Howitt Road kind of feels like the Hume Highway at this point after what we've been driving. Taking a moment to organise ourselves, a bite to eat, and then we set off.
Species of insects, more than people.
But you'd have no qualms about standing on that rock there. Just walk over and stand on
Wave! On the road again, back up Howitt Road, aiming for Zeka Spur track, the main western entrance into Wonnangatta Station. But not before a quick stop at Howitt Hut. As we come in here, check out the Hyundai Getz on the left in the campsite, in case you were wondering whether two-wheel drive vehicles can make it this far. It's bloody cold here, bloody exposed. I don't know how these guys are doing it. With the sun about to start going down, we're going to keep making tracks. Maybe one more stop for some videography opportunities. The Zeka Spur track. As I was warned, it's a rocky, rough, scenic descent into the valley. Being late afternoon with the sun soon to close, the lighting made for an extra special view coming down the track. Once the most isolated operating cattle station in the state, it's now an iconic destination for off-road explorers. We found camp by the river, time to put dinner on, beer o'clock, and relax. This massive tree was uprooted and has created a divider in this large camp area. Being a designated campsite, someone could have been seriously unlucky when this thing fell. It's a bit green still, but it'll make for some great firewood for future campers. We met up near the station ruins with our special guest, Jason from Off the Beaten Path YouTube channel. We've been talking a few months, but this is our first time meeting in person. A great bloke, he's joining us for a day of driving. We didn't have to go far to find our first bit of adventure, hitting this water crossing moments after taking off. This next section of track had some magnificent countryside, some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen. Here on the right as we're coming through is the Elms campground because of the elm trees that were planted. Absolutely amazing spot, one of the popular campsites in the Wonnangatta. And then there was mud. I'm not normally a fan of mud driving for the sake of it, tearing up tracks and making your vehicle all dirty, but it seemed to be part of the cause heading out of the Wonnangatta, and most of it had a pretty solid base. Dare I admit it, it was all a bit of fun. There was, however, some tricky bits to overcome. Paul made this one look really simple. I, on the other hand, made it look unnecessarily complicated. Touch wood, we had no vehicle reliability issues this trip, but we did have some mishaps. Watch my number plate going into the water and then coming out. Ouch, I don't think it's meant to be like that. This has happened because the water's rushed in to the bull bar gaps and then tried to exit at the point of least resistance. It was easily bent back and it just adds some character for the grey dingo. I wasn't sure how firm the base was. In hindsight, I probably should have backed off the throttle and gone through it a little slower. This is the iconic river crossing at the east end of the Wonnangatta Track. Jason is well versed in these parts and said this is the lowest he's seen the river by far. There's usually rock piles coming out of the water indicating the underwater hazards to dodge, but today it was all pretty tame. Still bloody scenic though.
Because usually the water's back here,
Mm.
so you know to sweep it in an arc. Looks like there is another line through here, which I haven't ever driven.
I think it might be pretty deep there where all the water's flowing. You might nose in, maybe a little bit too much.
At the moment it probably wouldn't be an issue, but when it's up a bit
Yeah. This one has a really rough exit. I've given Jason plenty of space. He's stopped a moment to engage his rear diff lock and crawls up really nicely. And here's me, no diff locks, so I need to apply some momentum at the right time to climb up. This is where I'm always concerned that I might come unstuck one day. So far the Grey Dingo hasn't let me down. I feel like I was being pulled toward the tree on the left of the track. Check it out at this different angle. A close call. I was pretty lucky to keep control of the vehicle. And as per normal, Paul makes light work of it.
Yeah, no, I rate the Falcon tyres. I've been pretty happy with them. Yeah. You know, I've had one flat in 4 years, and that was a proper job.
Yeah, I tore a sidewall completely off on a track with 250 Ks on.
Yeah, I tore a sidewall off one as well, and I still don't know how it happened, but that was only a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
We're just going to have heaps of video of each other videoing. I'm going to get wet here, but you know what? You only live once. A hunting dog club was operating in the area that weekend, or was it a 70 series Land Cruiser club? Honestly, it was a bit hard to tell. This hill was slippery, it was wet, it was heavily chopped up with big ruts. On the right side of the track, just before the track changes direction slightly, about halfway up, there's a horizontal dead branch overhanging. This forces you into the ruts and you have to think quick about your line to the top. Here it comes, push me into the rut there, and then I've decided to try to straddle this last rut. You can't stop here, pedal to the floor, and I'm just trying to maintain traction to not fall fall in the rut. This view shows just how steep this hill is, and that pesky branch throwing you to change line halfway up. I have to maintain revs here. This is one of those spots where you can't afford to back off. You've just got to commit and hope that the car does its thing and you maintain traction. If I fell into this rut, I could have done some serious damage.
Yeah, first time I drove this was in the rain. And that was just line the ruts up, plant the foot and hang on. It's a good fun little hill, eh?
Yeah. I'm sure a few people have come unstuck there. Time to give the grey dingo a bath. Oh, never mind. We stopped for lunch at the top of Mount Sarah. Jason has an awesome Drifta kitchen set up in the back of his Pajero. Mine, in comparison, kind of looks like a bit of a rabble.
But I don't know if the 76 is going to need one. So we'll wait and see.
Just off the summit, we ran into these blokes also having a bite, and we were in for some of the muddiest driving of the day. Sorry to ruin the makings of a good story, I opted for the beat line. Jason called out on the radio saying he's got a grinding noise coming from his front brakes.
Behind where the alloy bolts onto the hub, you see how it looks like a truck's been worn?
I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah.
There?
Yep. Okay, I see. They're not hot brakes, they're not hot.
Is it more centre?
You're probably right, I reckon it's a stone or something that's just...
I'll check to see if that anti-rattle clip is in the other side.
I reckon it's a stone or something that's just been flipped up in that bog hole back there and... yeah.
We decided to monitor it and it cleared shortly after. It probably was a stone. Best to try and investigate these things though, in case it was something more sinister. We make the sharp descent down to the Wonnangatta River crossing at the bottom of Zeka Spur track. Paul offered to hold the camera on this one and film the grey dingo heading across. Another gnarly exit requiring some grunt to get up the other side. Paul later admitted he was terrified because he knew what that camera is worth, so that may also be the last time he holds the camera. What was a steep descent turned out to be an even steeper climb on the other side. But trust me, it was worth it. Coming up here is a helipad with 360-degree panoramic views.
Here we are on the second half of Zeka Spur. We're going to go down that little hill and then up there over to Brewery Creek Road, which is up there. We're just parked on this little rise here, sort of a helipad maybe. And you can see, looking back over there, the other side of the Zeka Spur track that we just came down. And right down the bottom there, you can sort of make out the river in the bottom of the valley there.
One more short and steep section to get us onto Brewery Creek Road, as Jason pointed out, and then it's a straight run into Talbotville. Paul belongs to a four-wheel drive club where one of the informal mottos is no pansies allowed. And this track certainly pays respect to that idea. With sheer drops off one side, you don't want to let your wheels slip. Arriving into Talbotville, we let our brakes cool a moment before crossing the mandatory water crossing to get into the campground. We thought we'd just go for a little look around, maybe check out the historic cemetery. A lot of people overlook things like this when they visit an area, but there can be some really enriching history to explore. These blokes that cruised past us had some fresh game strapped on top of their roof. A successful day hunting for them. Talbotville is a great spot for families and groups to camp. It's basically two-wheel drive to get in, so it's good for camper trailers and the like. The river wraps around all the campsites, so there's river access. You could use it as a great base camp and have some awesome four-wheel drive day trips. A bit of history in this joint. Imagine living here when it took weeks by horseback to get in or out.
There's a number of graves. I think Grant was a township 140 years ago. And it's like there's nothing there. It's like there was, yeah, it's like there was a town here of 3,000 or 4,000.
Back across the river to tackle the Crooked River Track. There's still active cattle farms in the area, like this one. Imagine the lifestyle these guys have. I just worry about floods, because if these water crossings are the only way in, I hope you've got a helicopter. These were by far the deepest crossings we've done this weekend. Lots of fun. Snorkel, absolutely mandatory. Jason and Paul opted to do an alternate Kingswill bridge crossing, which didn't actually involve a bridge at all. What a magical thing to shoot, but I can't help but think, what's the point in that perfectly good bridge over there? I immediately saw my hypocrisy when I decided to drive across the bridge just to turn around and come back for the sake of driving the bridge. As the sun went down, we farewelled Jason and made camp near Dago before making tracks in the morning. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you liked this video.